Daith da, I'll be knacking. Welcome to podcast number 157. So, a bit different for me today. I'm actually recording this in work time, but don't tell nobody. 'Tis Thursday morning, nearly dinner time now, and I suddenly realised during the night, because I haven't been sleeping again. I've been awake since about 3:30 this morning, which really, if I thought of it, I could have got up and done it then. But I was thinking the next 2 evenings I'm out, so I can't really do the podcast. For example, this evening I'll do Mother's Tea. I've got to do it a bit early tonight, because then I've got family coming into view at about 5:45, and then I'll get home for a quick tea, get changed, and then I've got the coasters coming here. They've asked if they could come. They got a little kind of meeting about kit and everything, which is fine. And then tomorrow night we're out in the evening with our mates, Phil and Maz and Denise and Harry. So I thought, crumbs, I ain't have a chance to do that. And we are still fairly quiet here at work. So I thought, right, I'm going to grab a half hour now, because directly I'm giving a talk to the WI over by the tennis courts in the pavilion. I think there's Weybridge and Travanson this afternoon. So, I thought I'd better do it now. So this is my intro that I'm recording as we speak in the vestry at work. So since I spoke to you last week, we had dear Angela's funeral, and it's a family I've known forever, big family from out St Mimber way, and terribly sad, really, dear of her. We had a lovely crowd there, St Mimber Church. The weather was handsome, and all was well, and a burial afterwards in the cemetery. And then as far as the weekend goes, like I say, we're fairly quiet. I have the phone, and it's weird, really. I've spoken to other family funeral directors, and they do the same thing as me, because quite often I will get a phone call on a Saturday or a Sunday about something that's perhaps a memorial or ashes or anything, even if you don't get a call if somebody's passed away. And the phone doesn't ring. When you're really quiet, the phone doesn't ring, and you get a bit paranoid. So every so often you dial yourself to make sure the phone's still working. So I did that. We went up to Malcolm Barnicott's Saturday morning. We met up with James and Gemma and the two boys first, and then also Elliot come over from Foxhole and me in-laws. So we spent a good couple hours up there. Now, that's the bakery that's up on the outskirts of town, and they got a cafe there. And I tell you what, 'twas heaving. 'Twas so busy. And it's almost become a meeting place for Bridgers. It really have. You see so many people there that, you haven't seen for a while, you have a good chat. I did see Margaret. I ain't going to say Margaret who, but I did see Margaret, and I mentioned to her about having a podcast done. So hopefully we'll have to see. But also it was lovely to see Malcolm himself, Malcolm Barnicott. He came in, and I had a lovely chat with Malcolm, which was really good, talking about old times and everything. So that was a lovely morning. Afternoon, we managed to get a run in, which was brilliant. And then on to Sunday, bit of paperwork. Jesse's birthday party then. Jesse was 6, actually 6 on Monday, but we had the party on Sunday, so that was brilliant. And then in the evening, we was out with Ken's family, meeting up before the funeral on Monday. And when I say Ken, I mean Ken Miller. Now, a lot of all local people know Ken. He was a proper Bridger, born and bred, lived here all his life, apart from I know he went away for national service and that. I think he went to Aden, because we had the Aden vets there. But a real local character. He did so much for the town over the years. I notice all mentioned in the podcast. I will check in a minute to see what episodes Ken's was, so that you can perhaps go back and hear it again, because 'tis lovely to hear his voice, and that's something that'll be there forever. But I mean, such things. He was on the town council, deputy mayor. I always loved this quote where somebody stopped him in the street and said, "Councillor Miller, you are not doing anything for the elderly in this town." To which he said, yes, we are. He said, we've just provided a new cemetery. And that was Ken. That was brilliant. He was in the fire brigade here, volunteer fireman, Wadebridge Fire Brigade. And I had a message from Mark Enwood. Now, Mark was unfortunately away for the funeral, but Mark was on the fire brigade, same time as Ken. And Mark has got a fantastic Victorian fireman's helmet. And he said, would we like that one? So I spoke to Steve and Jackie, and they said, yes, that would be brilliant. So we had that fireman's helmet. They're on display in the chapel. In fact, I did put a photo on our Facebook page. If you want to look at it, it's beautiful. It really is. But so on Monday, we had the service here at our chapel, and it was absolutely full. The chapel downstairs was full, and upstairs as well in our function room, that one was full. It just shows how much he was loved in the town. And for me, Ken was one of they people, you always left him with a smile on your face, because he always had a joke to tell you or something like that. You always left with a smile on your face. But which we did actually at the crematorium, because we did have 2 standard bearers, and no matter what standard bearers you have, they always seem to hit the chandeliers at the crematorium with their flagpoles. And on Monday, it was no exception. They hit one as they was going in, and then as we was going out at the end of the service, they hit the other one. So that's the vision I had as I left the chapel, swinging chandeliers, and it did make me smile, and I'm sure that Ken would have loved that. So there we are. But like I said, I've known Ken pretty much all of my life, really. He was always there around, and then I got to know him better when I was going out with Tracy, because Tracy's father, Ter, he worked with Ken for decades. And then also CB radio, which was very popular at the time. Ken was Dusty Bin, I was Coffin Bearer, and we used to talk on the radio, CB radio. Yeah, all good times. But if you want to listen to Ken's podcast episodes again, I've just looked back, and they are episodes 117, 118, and 119. And it was December last year, last 2024. And it would be lovely if you went back and listened, of Ken's story again. But we'll be thinking of it, Ken, in the future. I'm sure we'll never forget it. And as we'd say on the CB radio, 10-7, old buddy, 10-7, which means you're leaving there, and that's saying goodbye. So we've had a couple of these private direct funerals again this week as well, early in the morning. And then yesterday we had a massive funeral at Withiel Church, St. Clement's Church, Withiel, for dear Nick Warren. And again, that name, listeners to this podcast, you'll recognise that. And obviously he was well known in the farming community all around our area. But Nick's wife, Margaret, she did podcasts with me. I'm just looking back, and that was episodes 121, 122, and 123. And that was from January this year. So if you want to listen to their story again, it's well worth listening to, put it that way. But yeah, dear Nick, I did go and pop in and see him actually when I recorded the podcast. That was the last time I saw him. And we had a back to front, again, as I call them, yesterday. We had a lovely little intimate private family cremation at the crematorium. And then we were back to Withiel for the service in the afternoon. And for somebody who was 96, I think nearly 97, the church was full. I said yesterday, they're in many of his classmates here because of his wonderful age. And you just imagine if that funeral was 10, 15, 20 years ago, the number then would have been unbelievable. But even yesterday, all the seats were full. We had them standing back by the bell tower, up behind the organ, in the choir stalls. And it just says how well respected and loved Nick was. So, I say, fantastic service. And what we did have, I mean, I'm never very good at straw and hay and everything, but we had a sheaf of, I'm going to say straw, but I might be wrong. And this is bad, really, for somebody whose grandparents was tied up with farming and cousins that still are. But say it is a sheaf of straw with two, no, I would have said pitchforks. But they was calling them pikes yesterday, and I've had a look, and that is actually the Cornish dialect word for these pitchforks is pikes, and I will use that as my word directly. So you've had a preview, but we had a couple of they in the porchway as people come into church yesterday so that people could see them. We did think about putting them at the front of the church, but then a lot of people wouldn't have seen them then. But actually going in the porch, you could see them there, and I did take a photo, and you can see that on our RJ Bray Facebook page. But yeah, a wonderful service and a lovely tribute to a lovely man. I think the only other things to talk about, I did mean to mention to us Gorseth Kernow at the weekend, the meeting of the Cornish bards, and also they install the new bards down there. You can't ask to be a bard. They will ask you if you contribute something towards Cornwall or something, or you can become a bard if you pass the examination in speaking and writing the Cornish language sort of thing. But that was down Marazion. Our dear friend Danny Reid, he was actually made a bard at the weekend. He sent some lovely photos there on Facebook. Unfortunately, I couldn't get down this year. I usually like to go and see it because it's a fantastic sight. But hopefully we'll make it next year. Weather looked fine, a bit windy, but the weather looked fine. And then the other thing, I did have a shock. Last week, there was a double spread in the Cornish Guardian, the interview they did with me the other day. They put it all on the internet. Well, now it went to print. I'll try and do a photograph of it and put it on my Facebook page. But that was a bit of a shock, I'll tell you. Right, well, that's all I'm going to talk about now. I don't think I've missed anything. If I do, I'll add it directly. But me podcast now for this week and next week, maybe the week after as well. I've got to see me timings. I haven't quite sussed it yet. But this is my Auntie Marina. Now, Marina, she married me Uncle Ken, which was me mother's brother. And I ought to explain a little bit, actually, for those of you that ain't local, because I do say there that Marina, her father was a bear. So, of course, Marina was a bear. Now, when I say bear, obviously it's nothing to do with the animal, but that was a big local family here in Wadebridge, but it's spelt with an E on the end. So it's B-E-A-R-E, but was pronounced as bear. So I just thought I'd clear that bit up. Otherwise, you could imagine all different things. But lovely talk with Auntie Marina. So I'll have my first part of that now, and then next part will be next week. Maybe the week after. We'll see how it goes. But here it is. Get on, Auntie Marina. How be knacking?
I'm fine, thank you.
Proper job. That's brilliant. Right, well, shall we go back the family tree a little bit on your side?
Yeah, we can, yeah. I got Dad. He was an only child.
And he was Dennis?
He was Dennis, and born to Cecil Bear and Mabel.
Right.
She used to call Mary sometimes. Yeah, and then...
And was they to do with the Sladesbridge Bears or no then?
Relations.
Right, yeah.
I'm not sure how far off. But
right,
yeah.
All tied up somewhere.
All tied up somewhere, all the bears are.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah. And then there's Mother. She's one of 4 siblings. She was born to Elsie and Archibald Lobb.
Yeah.
There was Archie, Iris, Molly, and then Mother, Cynthia Jean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Known as Jean.
Known as Jean, yeah. Yeah.
And were the Lobbs, was they a Wadebridge family then or no?
Grandad was adopted, so we think... Right. We sort of did a little bit of research into it, and we think he's related to somebody in Delabole, but we never really got somebody in there probably know more than I do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was adopted.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
So then you was born?
Higher to Werder, just outside of Egglesale.
Yeah.
Yeah, up on the farm, which Grandad ran. He was like a tenant, and we lived next door to Grandad and Gran Bear.
Right.
Yeah.
So he was a tenant. So who owned the farm then?
Somebody in Plymouth, so far as I can gather.
Yeah.
I think they owned, I'm sure they owned Middle Trewerder and Lower Trewerder, and I'm not sure whether Lower Trewerder got sold. I'm not sure, but they rented it to these people.
Oh, I see.
But Grandad ran it for several years.
Yeah.
That I can remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you was born there. So then we do the rest of your siblings.
Right.
Is Eleanor the oldest?
Eleanor's the oldest one.
Yeah.
And then there was May. Oh, sorry. One in between, which didn't last. Keith. He didn't stay alive for about three days, I think it was. Or maybe 3 weeks. Don't hold me to that.
No.
Dear him. But he's still around for me.
Yeah.
And then there was me, then May, then Colin. Colin Dennis, he's called.
Yeah, later Vance.
Yeah, he changed his name to Vance to keep out of mischief.
I don't know if that worked or not.
No, it didn't. Not a bit. Bless him. Yeah, we lost him, it must be 9, 10, maybe 12 years ago now. I can't remember, to be honest.
Time goes so quick.
Doesn't it? Yeah. Then there was my sisters that was born way after me. I think I was about 12 when they were born, the twins. Yeah. Sharon and Shani. Yeah. Sharon lived for 14 months. So they both caught bronchopneumonia, the silent type. Right. And then, of course, Shani was brought through. She survived it. Yeah. There. And we were up at the farm up until I was 16 when we left there.
Oh, crumbs, yeah.
Dad and Mum built the bungalow at Bridgeview. Yeah. Where Martin and Myra live.
That's right. Yeah.
And so I was looking after Shani a lot when I was home. I was working because I was working for your father at the egg depot. Yeah. But when I was home, I had Shani. And, of course, I met up with your uncle, Ken.
Yeah, well, we'll do that in a minute.
All right, then.
We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, you got that bit out of them.
No, that's right.
All right.
So we'll go right back to, your really young days and school and that. Would you have gone girls' school, would he?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, the infant school. Girls and boys, what was the one back then?
That's right. Yeah. So you would have had to walk all the way, or would you have had a lift?
No, we walked.
Did he really?
We walked all the way from Trewerder. Yeah. Down Egglesale and along. Yeah. Yeah. Of course, I was there for a few years, wasn't I? Yeah. And then...
Can you remember any of your teachers back there then? Or
Miss Buckingham.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Mrs. Hemwood.
Yeah.
And the other Miss Owen.
Oh, yeah.
I think she was there at the time, yeah. Yeah, she was. Of course, Mrs. Crouch was the head mistress. Right. To be feared by some, but then she was all right, really.
Yeah, I can't remember her.
No, because Miss Franklin took over from her.
That's right, yeah.
No, who else? I think that was about it there, I think. Yeah. From what I can remember. Yeah. Good old days. I enjoyed it there.
Yeah, nice little school, really.
It was, yeah. Yeah, because the boys stayed there until they were 11 before they moved up to the boys' school. Is that right?
Well, I can remember with me, I was there till I was 7, and then from 7 to 11 we went boys' school, and then we went comp.
That's right. That is right, yeah.
After that. Yeah, so we were there only for perhaps 3 years. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, infants were over one side. Oh, Mrs. Fisher was over there then.
Oh, yeah.
Betty Fisher.
Betty, yeah.
Yeah. And then we moved over into the bigger side, as we call it, the big girls' side. Yeah.
Can you remember any of your schoolmates then, or no?
Well, my best friend is Shirley Johnson back then. Yeah. Shirley Webster. Yeah. I can't remember many of the others over there. Oh, Pam Parkin, of course. Yeah. Yeah. I can't remember many of the others, I don't think.
And they had the canteen there for dinner.
We had the canteen there for dinner. Didn't like that very much, but there you are.
Yeah. And I suppose growing up on the farm, that was a good childhood, was it?
Oh, God, it was lovely. I thoroughly enjoyed that, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we, summer, we never went anywhere on holiday because we were home. And I used to help Grandad on the farm. Yeah. Used to bring the cows in from right out by Hingham there, that road, and bring them back in. with my bike, leaning on the cows.
Yeah, get away.
I had some fun with that. I loved it. And then come back, and then Grandad bought me a unit to milk them with.
Oh, yeah.
As well. So I was up there until I got interested in boys.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah, I was up there till then. I used to help out with the harvest and all.
God,
we all
brilliant.
did, mucking in with the harvest and bringing it in. And Dad would be there. He'd come home from work, and he'd bring the tractor and trailer, and he'd have to hold on to the load to keep it up so as he wouldn't lose it.
I'll get away.
Yeah. And sometimes we used to ride in on top of it, but it was a bit dodgy.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You didn't see fear back then.
No. And no health and safety back then.
None at all whatsoever. No. Yeah, and I used to help on the combine, and because they hired one in and do that, and I'd be on the combine with taking off the grain and things like that. I was a pretty strong girl back then.
Yeah. Oh, got to it.
Yeah, I was 10.
Yeah.
You just do it.
And was Father always in the building side?
All the time,
yeah.
Always, yeah. He worked for Ronnie Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then eventually he did go on his own, but he was working hours and hours and hours outside of Ronnie Williams to make ends meet, to build this bungalow and that, and they built it themselves.
Yeah.
He had a couple of mates with carpentry and that, and plumbing and electric side of it. But Dad built that place.
I always remember he wore a beret a lot.
Always wore the beret, with badges on.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what he reckons. That's what made his hair fall out. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
So then, when you left the girls' school, then comp?
Yes. We wouldn't comp back then. Secondary modern.
Secondary modern. Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't the brainiest of childs, but then I muddled through.
Yeah.
And made a lot of friends. Loved cookery, gardening. We did that back then.
Oh, right.
Yeah, we had a gardening back up behind the cookery place.
Yeah.
Domestic science back then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mr. Ray Warren would take us out there.
Yeah.
And Mr. Grigg. Do you remember Mr. Grigg? He used to live out Port Isaac.
Name rings a bell. I can't picture.
He'd come from Yorkshire.
Yeah.
Because he used to say books.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah. His wife used to come and pick up the slops from the kitchen for the pigs.
Oh,
they kept pigs.
Ah, baby.
Yeah. I think he died quite young.
Oh.
Yeah. But, it's...
good times.
It was good times, yeah. And I used to cycle from there home, from home down to school. Sometimes I used to go across the Twin Fields.
Oh, yeah.
I forget what they call it now. And down around and out through and down. And sometimes I go down Egg Sailway and, just to change it around a bit.
Exactly.
And, that's when I fell off my bike early one morning. I walked home because I was covered in mud and that, and walked home. And Mum was reading the paper when I got in. What are you doing, Mum? I fell off. I'm covered in mud and that.
Oh.
And so that's the day that Sharon died.
Oh, no.
Mum went up to check her and she died. But she was really poorly, dear her.
Yeah.
Yeah, very loving child, that one.
Yeah.
I used to carry her around everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was 14th of May, I think I was.
Yeah.
To be honest, yeah. But that's I think I was meant to go home.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Those things happen.
They do, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, a sad way to end this week's podcast, but we'll have more next week. Now, for me Cornish word of the week, I got to thank Gwen Perkins for this one, because Gwen give me this. She dropped it in the office and I'd never heard it before, and I ain't 100% sure of the pronunciation. But 'tis for hello mate, or hello mate, as we'd say down here, hello mate. And if you looked at it, it looks like it says ha sauce or something. It's H-A, new word, S-O-C-E, sauce or whatever. But I've done a bit of research and it looks like the sauce is actually pronounced soccer or soku. So it would be ha soccer or ha sock. Yeah, I would say ha soccer. So that's what it is. Hello, mate, ha soccer. But like I say, I ain't 100% sure of the pronunciation on that one. And for me Cornish dialect of the week, like I said earlier, we'll use the word pike. which is like the Cornish word for like pitchforks or something like that. And the pikes, I mean, it comes from the old word for like pointed tool or weapon sort of thing. And 'twas used like for aving up sheaves of corn, straw or hay onto the wagons or in the barns or anything like that. So I think that's what it'll be, is pike. And they used to throw or pike up the sheaves. So they'd either throw them up or they'd pike up. So that's what I'm going for this week, pike. So there we go. Right, well, I'll leave you there now and speak to you again next week. And this afternoon, I'm off to the WI. So wish you well. Do Guinness. Carnobus Ficken.